Hello, everyone. Welcome to Vince. I know I don't look like Vince. I am Hayley Caronia, filling in for Vince Colonnese today on Rumble, of course. I know everyone in the chat is already here. Rumble.com/Vince is where you can watch the show. If you want to watch later, you can do that also. If you want to listen on your favorite podcast platform, just search for Vince on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. And I will also be co-hosting the radio show later today, 12 to 3 Eastern time with Jim. So lots of Hayley content. Of course, you can watch my show, Nightly Scroll, right here on Silverlock and right here on Rumble. Later at 6 p.m. Eastern time, I've got a big show for you. So lots of Hayley content today. So let's get into it. Kamala Harris's new book, 107 Days. That's what it's called. After her disastrous campaign, she is going to have to convince someone to buy the book. So last night, she started on her world tour on Stephen Colbert's show. That should do it. Not. A senior Biden staffer who hasn't pleaded the fifth admitted that he would have banked $8 million if Biden had won the 2024 election. Who knew electing corrupt corpses was so lucrative? Plus, I have got Daily Wire White House correspondent Mary Margaret Olohan on deck to break down all of Trump's new tariff rates, executive orders, and news from the swamp. Plus, I'm going to give you a little taste of what my show, Nightly Scroll, is like. If you watched Nightly Scroll last night, you know that I didn't get to scrolling time. So all of those videos that I had planned for last night, you will get right here on Vince. But first, I want to tell you about Fatty 15. Do you think about aging like I do? Because now I'm in my 30s. I work out a lot. If you follow me on social media, you know I'm always in the gym. I want my cells to feel younger. I want to age well. I want to sleep well, and my energy has definitely gone down, so I'm trying to get that back up, and I'm very excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15. It is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy. And based on studies, we know that when our cells don't have enough C15, they can age faster. Fatty 15 can help repair and protect age-related damage to cells and help activate pathways in the body that help repair mechanisms that support our overall wellness. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, vegan, and 100% pure C15 supplement, and refills are shipped right to your door. They send them in this nice little glass bottle. It looks great on my nightstand. I take it every night before bed, and I sleep like a baby. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help support your long-term wellness and health, especially as you age. And you can get an additional 15% off their 30-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Vince and using code Vince at checkout. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Vince today. The show starts now. All right, it is Hulk Hogan Day if you're in Florida. And we are in Florida right now. I know the show is usually coming to you from the swamp in D.C., but we are coming to you from Florida. And Governor Ron DeSantis yesterday announced that today, August 1st, is going to be Hulk Hogan Day, of course, in memory of the legend, the Patriot. So we can pull up his statement here. Ron DeSantis says, in honor of a great Floridian, Hulk Hogan, we are lowering the flags. If we could pull it up one more time. All of the flags in Florida are going to be at half-mast today in honor, like I said, of a patriot. And honestly, one of the most iconic moments that I can remember, he's had such an amazing career, but what I can remember is when he spoke at the RNC and ripped his shirt off. You know, this was days after Trump got shot. He had the bandage over his ear, and Hulk Hogan was just there in full force supporting the president. So I just wanted to say happy Hulk Hogan Day and rest in peace to a great patriot. All right, I want to get started on the Stephen Colbert, Kamala Harris collaboration last night that nobody asked for. They are a match made in heaven, or hell maybe. They can bond over their affinity for losing millions and millions and millions of dollars and being losers. And, you know, Stephen Colbert's show, The Late Show on CBS, was losing $40 million a year. We know this. For the last 4 years. That's a lot of money. He's got 200 staffers on the show, and now Paramount and CBS, they have said that they are going to, slowly fade the show out. It's just going to go off into the sunset starting in May. So he already knows he's out. And Kamala Harris, very similarly, she had to fade out into the sunset also. So these two losers come together. And Kamala Harris's dumpster fire of a campaign, that ended up in the negatives to the tune of 20 million. So they have this in common, right? And she was on the show last night. They talked about her new book, 107 Days, where she says she's going to tell the American people what really happened, which Hillary Clinton wrote a book, What Really Happened, as well. I don't know why all these losers in our country write books about what happened. I don't want to hear from a loser. I want to hear from winners like Donald J. Trump. So anyway, we've got Hillary Clinton. All she can yap about is how she lost and all, what happened and all that. Now we have Kamala Harris, the second female that the Democrat Party has put up to hopefully become the president of the United States. And of course, they fell flat on their faces when faced with Donald J. Trump in the election. So here we're seeing the same thing, history repeat itself. Kamala Harris writing a book about what went wrong when we all have eyes. We all saw what went wrong. We all saw that she had Megan Thee Stallion shaking what her mama gave her on stage. She had to pay money for millions of dollars for Beyonce to come up and for J-Lo to cry on stage with her frozen Botox filler-filled face. That's what she was spending money on. The Call Her Daddy podcast appearance, when they were talking about the importance of abortion and all that. I mean, she fell flat on her face. All of these decisions in the 11th hour were horrible. And so she goes on to write a book about it, which is insane. But she goes on Stephen Colbert's show last night. They were talking about, what happened in that day, in that moment when the DNC called her or whoever called her and said, you're up. Joe Biden's going to pull out and you're the girl. And, they played this picture on the show, which I was laughing at. She's in her sweatpants. It almost looks like she was reenacting the "We did it, Joe" moment. It looked just like that. She's got the wire headphones. She's in her sweatpants in the vice president's residence. And she claimed that she made 100 phone calls that day. She was ready to get to work. But she says that in this book, it's not just all about these 100 days leading up. Yep, here's Kamala Harris in her sweatsuit. So she's like, who's better dressed, Kamala Harris or what's his face, John Fetterman? Kamala Harris, John Fetterman, they're always in their sweatpants. At least Kamala Harris can put on a suit when needed. And she did last night when she was on the Colbert Show. I will say I liked her green suit. I'm just going to come out and say it, giving credit where credit is due. So anyway, when she was talking to Stephen Colbert in this interview, she was talking about how she wrote this book. And yes, she's going to talk about what happened from her perspective with this whole campaign shakeup. But she also said that she got personal and she threw her own husband under the bus. Listen to this.
My birthday's in October. The election's in November. You see where I'm going. And Dougie kind of dropped the ball on my big birthday.
He didn't get you anything?
Oh, you have to read the book.
I did not miss hearing that laugh. I didn't. And I get full body chills when I hear it. And it's like a very comedic laugh. She does like a full body shake, Someone in the chat said, oh my gosh, please no more of that laugh. And let's talk about, someone in the chat also said vodka. This was going to be the point that I made. She does not seem sober at all. And I'm going to get into this in a little bit because she poked fun at this on social media. She put up a TikTok video about her feeling like, people think that she's out drinking margaritas, but she's really not. And then she goes on Colbert and she's not doing a very good job of convincing us that she's sober. She's doing the opposite. She seems drunk. She's slurring her words. So anyway, in the conversation, Stephen Colbert asked her, Kamala Harris, whether or not she's going to run for any other office in the future, because she has since said this week that she is not running for the governor of California. So here's her answer to this question. Watch.
Listen, I am a devout public servant. I have spent my entire career in service of the people. And I thought a lot about running for governor. I love my state. I love California. I've served as just elected district attorney, attorney general, and senator. But to be very candid with you, You know, when I was a young in my career, I had to defend my decision to become a prosecutor with my family. And one of the points that I made is, why is it then when we think we want to improve a system or change it, that we're always on the outside on bended knee or trying to break down the door? Shouldn't we also be inside the system? And that has been my career. And recently I made the decision that for now, I don't want to go back in the system. I think it's broken.
She said the quiet part out loud. She spent her entire career in the system that she claims is broken. So she either had something to do with it being broken, or she did nothing in her entire career to fix it. She claims, and this is also a very vague answer, right? But she claims that the systems are broken, claiming that democracy is under threat, all of these things that Democrats always say, that the system can't support the progress that needs to be done. Again, this is just classic Kamala word salad, but also just this like feminist mumbo jumbo. To me, this reads to me like she thinks it's just unbelievable that America hasn't elected a female president, and because Hillary and Kamala have fallen flat on their faces, then surely the system is broken. And I would say that the American electorate would elect a woman who is worthy of holding that position, not Hillary Clinton and, emails over there and not cackles over here. So most people don't care about checking boxes, these DEI identity politics boxes. That's just Democrats. And also, is she just questioning the outcome of the election? I think it's funny when Democrats do that because it's only okay when they do it. They get mad at us when we do it. We're conspiracy theorists and horrible people. And we want to, tear down democracy. That's what they say. But then it's totally fine when Democrats question democracy. Hillary Clinton questioned for years. She said that it was illegitimate and all these things. But so it's okay when they do it. Just big double standard. Now, I think the reason that Kamala Harris is not running is because she doesn't have the donors to back her, simply because they saw how badly she handled the campaign finances as running for president. The campaign was flush with cash, and then all of a sudden they ended up $20 million in the hole after spending it on frivolous things and celebrity endorsements. She also won't run similarly because I think she's realized nobody likes her. She won't win whether she has the money to run or not. And maybe we talked about this on Nightly Scroll last night, but maybe she won't run because the truths about Joe Biden's DOJ might come out, and that also might look bad for her because she might be implicated. And by might, I mean probably 99.9%. Maybe Biden's staffers and close aides like herself were implicated in one of the largest cover-ups in American history, which was President Joe Biden's health was failing. They knew it. They didn't want us to know it. And now everybody is pleading the fifth because they don't want to be implicated in the lie. They don't want to be found guilty of anything criminal. And Kamala Harris knows that she can't do unfriendly media. She can barely answer softball questions on friendly networks without them deceptively editing her answers to make her look and sound better, throwing lipstick on a pig. She wouldn't be able to defend herself when asked about what she knew and when she knew it. So I think she's bowing out, at least for now, hoping that people will buy her book. They'll take some time off, a few years. They'll forget what a horrible job she did, hopefully. And, all of these Biden secrets that she's inevitably wrapped up in, people will forget about it. And then she'll conveniently go away for a little bit. Maybe she'll, work behind the scenes to elect Democrats, like she said. And she's going to do all this to just not attract media attention aside from selling her book because anyone who would ask her a real question would just really throw her for a loop. So here's the video of her claiming that she's not drunk on a beach. Watch.
Everyone thinks you've been kicking back, drinking margaritas on the beach. But really, you've been hard at work writing a book, meeting with leaders, thinking about the future of our country. Who said that?
Yeah, like I said earlier, she's really not doing a great job to admit or to prove to us that she's not drunk. She seemed drunk on Stephen Colbert. I don't know if that's just the way she speaks, that slurred voice. I don't know. But Charlemagne the God, who has been filling in on, I think it was Jon Stewart's show recently, but he was talking about Kamala Harris needing to join us in the new media and start a podcast. Watch this.
I don't know if she should run again, but I definitely would like to see her write a book. I definitely would like to, see her start a podcast and just build a real connection with people, And she is, relatively young. I just don't know what's going to happen in 2028, man. I just think Democrats suck so bad. I don't know.
He's right about one thing. Democrats suck so bad, and they've got no leader. Kamala Harris is leading, and she has already said, I'm not running. So who do they have? I guess Gavin Newsom, maybe AOC. They're pretty screwed, but I certainly don't want to hear anything more from Kamala Harris. I think we've heard enough. Now, I want to quickly tell you about Blackout Coffee. I've got Daily Wire White House correspondent on deck, Mary Margaret Olahan, so stay tuned for that. First, you already know Blackout Coffee. I've got it right here in my mug. Proudly the official coffee of all of us here at Silverlock, and there's a reason for that. This is bold, unapologetic, America First coffee roasted right here, fresh in the USA in Florida. This isn't grocery store junk. Blackout Coffee delivers rich, high-quality roast that actually tastes like freedom. And now you can set it and forget it with autofill and recurring delivery. This means no more running out. You're never going to run out of your Blackout Coffee. No more watered-down backups, just your favorite roast delivered fresh on your schedule. Pick your favorite roast and how often you want it delivered. And not only do you get a discount, but you get double the rewards and free shipping to your doorstep. I start my day with Blackout Coffee, then sometimes in the middle of the day, then sometimes before my show at like 5 p.m. So I'm sold. Here's what you got to do. You got to go to blackoutcoffee.com/Vince and use code Vince. That's VINCE to get 20% off your first order. Whether you're into bold, dark roasts, flavored coffee, and they have great flavors, by the way, or even instant coffee, Blackout has got your back. Real coffee, no compromise. blackoutcoffee.com/Vince. Get yours now. And I'm very excited now to welcome in Mary Margaret Olahan, Daily Wire White House correspondent, and I'm very lucky to call her a good friend of mine as well. I'm so excited to be with you. You were one of my best guests on Nightly Scroll a few months ago, so I'm very excited to be reunited, even though it is just virtually.
Oh, it's so great to be here, Hayley. An honor to be on Vince, one of my favorite people in the world, you as well. So this is just a great Friday morning.
It's a great way to spend the Friday morning. And let's get into yesterday at the White House. I'm going to ask you all about today and what's coming up and what we can expect. But yesterday was a big news day in D.C. in general because Russiagate was like a new breath has been breathed into the Russiagate scandal and the Russia hoax scandal. And a lot of left-wing media has been rushing to defend Hillary Clinton after these emails have been released by Senator Chuck Grassley. And the left is saying these emails that claim that Hillary Clinton signed off on the whole Russia hoax are Russian disinformation. That's what the left is saying. So let's try to break this all down.
Right. The left has been saying that for years and years and years. In fact, Hillary Clinton went on TV for years and years, and many other members of the Democrat Party pushing this narrative and claiming that the president was part of a Russian disinformation campaign and that the election was stolen from Hillary Clinton. Well, yesterday we found out, actually 2 days ago, Kash Patel revealed that they had found all these burn bags at the FBI full of thousands of documents on the Russiagate scandal. And yesterday, I believe it was Senator Chuck Grassley who revealed these declassified documents showing that not only was Hillary Clinton aware of this plan to use this fake Russiagate smear campaign to distract from her own email scandal, but also that the FBI was advancing this campaign as well, which is, we already had bits and pieces of this. We already all kind of knew that this was going on, but to have these declassified documents showing this really only builds on that further. And Hayley, the thing that I found really crazy about this is I was at the White House yesterday for the press briefing with Caroline Leavitt. All of this came out on, I believe, Wednesday and then Thursday morning. Thursday is when the Hillary Clinton information came out. And so we're at this press briefing, which started at 1 p.m. And of course, I'm thinking, obviously, we've got to ask about this. This is huge news of the day. This is super interesting to me. And guess how many questions these reporters asked Caroline Leavitt about Russiagate.
Oh,
there
man.
was one question the entire briefing about Russiagate. Unfortunately, I didn't get called on, or I would have asked about it. But that's the level of disinterest the legacy media has in this topic, because there's not a lot of their outlets have been promoting this smear campaign for years. And so effectively for them to discuss it is to acknowledge that all of their outlets were complicit in this push to discredit Trump and to portray Hillary Clinton as the unfortunate victim of stolen election, which is pretty ironic when we see how the rest of this has played out over the last decade or so.
Absolutely. I'm not shocked that the legacy media has no interest in, exposing the corruption of the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign. It's not surprising to me one bit. But it is funny because, whether the emails are fake or not, I believe that they are real. They have been declassified, right? This is all part of John Durham's special counsel report from 2023. But the left is saying that this is Russian disinformation, right? But it happened, right? It happened. Hillary Clinton bought and paid for the Steele dossier. They drummed up all of this fake information on Donald J. Trump. This all happened. So whether or not this email about her signing off on it is real or not, it happened. So she did.
There's very little interest in finding out what actually happened here, Hayley. And I think, Molly Hemingway is one of my favorite voices on this topic. Mm-hmm. I saw her posting about this a lot yesterday. She made some really great points that if these reporters, if these outlets, if these Democrat lawmakers or Hillary Clinton themselves want to talk about this issue at all, they have to acknowledge that they have been lying for years.
Yeah.
And this is what I was going to ask about yesterday. Hillary Clinton could be prosecuted. Donald Trump, the White House, they have many reasons to be interested in prosecuting Hillary Clinton, and a lot of
her up
here. Yeah, this is the president's rallying cry for many years. And so I'm very interested in seeing where it goes on this point. So I think Hillary and a lot of these other Democrats are very aware, strategists, activists, that they need to be very, very careful and they need to tread very lightly. And at the same time, there's a lot of reporters who just breathlessly repeated the information that they were given or they were leaked or this oppo that was placed with them. They felt like they could do that without consequence. Well, now they're finding out that that is not the case. And ultimately, the truth will always come to light. And so it's a very interesting period of time here where people who thought that they could get away with pretty much anything are now under the microscope. And I'm pretty happy to see it.
Good. Yes, I am too. And honestly, I would be thrilled to see Lock Her Up come true, because that would be just great content for this show and for my show as well. But I want to ask you also about tariffs, because the tariffs were the number one story yesterday out of the White House. President Trump set new reciprocal tariff rates, and it seems like Canada is the main target, the 51st state, as he likes to call it, with an increase to 35%. And it seems like to me, the White House is sending a message that if you work with us, you'll be rewarded. If you ghost us on negotiations, you don't come to the negotiating table, you're going to pay.
Yes, I've been fascinated to see how the president has been leveraging tariffs in order to, not only protect American interests, but also to protect free speech and other very high American priorities around the world. Canada is obviously a big issue, but one that was really on my radar this week was Brazil. Down there, very interesting. The president not only hiked the tariffs way up, I believe, to 50%, but he also censored or sanctioned one of the Supreme Court justices down there who's been targeting not only Jair Bolsonaro, but a number of citizens in Brazil and American social media companies. So effectively, the president is using tariffs in this way to say, if you continue to punish American social media companies or your citizens or just any kind of human rights abuses in the free speech arena, we are not going to deal with you in the same way we're dealing with other countries. And effectively, we're going to punish you for behaving inappropriately towards your citizens, which is fascinating. And it's not something that we've seen in a long time, this type of just very open punishment for these free speech violations. And obviously, that's something that J.D. Vance talked about a lot earlier this year. What, Hayley, we're seeing in the UK with authorities punishing people for thought crimes, for praying inside their head outside abortion clinics, or, for speech such as posting on social media and saying that a man cannot be a woman, things like that. All over the world, we're seeing free speech violations like that. But specifically in Brazil now, the president is using tariffs to say, not happening anymore. And that's really interesting to me. So he's very confident. He is not listening to a lot of the posturing around him or all these economists predicting these horrible things. We always hear his rhetoric about panicans. And he's very bold and confident on this issue. So I'm interested to see how it plays out, because at least with Brazil, for example, he seems to think he can turn that country around and protect not only American interests, but also Brazilian free speech. And that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, it is very cool. And it's an interesting point, because the way that President Trump, I'm going to use the trans issue as an example, but President Trump signs this executive order saying, no trans women in women's sports, no men in women's sports, right? And any state domestically, like Maine, for example, who goes against this, now they're going to lose funding. And the way that President Trump is handling this right here at home, he's using the tariffs similarly to get his agenda across globally. So it is very cool to see that. I want to ask you, because I'm going rapid fire with you, I don't have you for that long, but President Trump he's announced some changes that he wants to make for the White House, introducing plans for a new $200 million, 90,000 square foot ballroom. What are people saying around the White House about this? Are people excited? Are people wondering where this funding is coming from? What is it going to be used for? I've got a lot of questions.
Yeah, I think everyone has a lot of questions. We were in the press briefing yesterday when Caroline announced it, and one of the reporters immediately had questions. She kind of interrupted Caroline to ask them. So it's definitely the top of people's minds. This is a really interesting project. It is going to cost $200 million, but the president, and I think they call them other, quote, patriotic donors, are the ones that are footing the bill. So it's not the American taxpayer. The president himself is investing in the project, which I think is very cool. It's, President Trump is very aware of legacy. He's very aware of the importance of tradition, and he wants to completely match the architecture and the structure at the White House. So to have this beautiful ballroom that really matches the White House and is not going to cause anyone to look at the White House complex and think, right, what is this doing here? And what I find really interesting is he hired an architect who I know. He's a Catholic architect in the traditional style. He's classical architecture. And he's really renowned for some of these Catholic churches that he has been in charge of all over the country. Really beautiful traditional architecture. So while a lot of us might go into a church and think, ew, this looks like a gym, he is really invested in making these beautiful churches that kind of lift the mind and heart to God in the traditional sense. So his name is James McCreary, and you can look him up and see. I posted on Twitter a bunch of the pictures of these beautiful churches that he's been part of. And the White House also put out pictures of his mock designs of what the White House ballroom will look like. So you can see those online as well. And it's a very ambitious project. And I think in general, the White House is looking at it as kind of like a legacy item. Mm-hmm. The president's a builder. He's always been a builder. We see that in, he constructed Mar-a-Lago down in Florida, but he also is the architect of Trump Tower, all of these different projects. So he's very invested in it. And the critics that I've seen have said things like, oh, this is going to cost the American taxpayer so much money. Not true. The president is paying for it. They've also suggested that, it's kind of like a vain project, but the president has said that many other administrations have looked for space like this. They've wanted an event space. And right now the White House can really only hold, I believe, 200 guests in one room. Now it's going to be able to hold 650. So
very cool.
Maybe someday, Hayley, you and I will be dancing at a ball at the White House. Which
I can't wait. I hope so. That would be very cool. One more question for you, because I want to ask you about, speaking of President Trump and tradition, he is bringing back the presidential fitness test announced yesterday. And what's interesting is that President Obama ended the presidential fitness test in 2013, and that administration replaced it with the Cooper Institute's Fitnessgram, which is basically like a very liberal, woke version of the presidential fitness test, because what he says is it's similar athletic challenges, but it takes the competition out of the equation. Since when was competition a bad thing, especially with children?
Well, Hayley, this is something that we've seen across the board when it comes to winners and losers and declaring things as objectively right or wrong. We have seen a lot of blurred lines over the years, but this is a great move in the right direction. So many of our children are suffering from lack of activity, poor diet. These are major things in the development of children, Trump administration. And I think it'll be really empowering for a lot of kids to have that competition, to have that drive, to excel in that way and to be rewarded for it. This is a really good thing. So very cool to see a lot of these athletes at the White House. I think you're a big fan of the golfer that was in there, right?
Just a little bit. I'm hoping one day he realizes
I don't even
that
know how to say his name.
Bryson DeChambeau. I'm hoping one day he wakes up and realizes that I was meant to be his wife, but I'll probably die waiting for that. It's fine. He did look very handsome in his suit, and I can barely think straight or talk straight because I'm just thinking about it. So, but yes, I have very fond memories of the presidential fitness test. Growing up, it's, the sit and reach, it's the mile run. I remember the fastest girl in school one year was out sick on the day that we were doing the presidential fitness test and the mile run. So then I got the fastest score for the mile, and it was only because she was out sick, because she was way faster than I was. But I remember it was around Halloween and they gave us a little pumpkin and I won the pumpkin. I was so excited. But yeah, I have very fond memories of this. I can't do push-ups. I can't do pull-ups. I'm just a girl, but I thought it was good because especially with the competitive aspect, you look at other people in your grade. Oh, they're faster. Oh, they're stronger. Oh, she can do 3 push-ups. Oh, why can't I do that? And it makes you want to be a better version of yourself. And it's interesting with the Obamas kind of going back on this. Michelle Obama made it her whole thing as first lady to get people moving again. And she overhauled all the school lunches. If you ask, younger millennials and Gen Z, they don't like Michelle Obama because they took the strawberry milk and the chocolate milk out of the lunches. She made lunches horrible.
I wouldn't know, Hayley, because I was homeschooled for most of my life. So a lot of this, I'm kind of like, oh, wow, interesting. Is that what they did in the schools? But no, I've heard a lot about Michelle Obama changes to, all of these different school lunches and lunch programs and things like that. And obviously we have so many conversations now about MAGA and the food that we're consuming and whether some of these decisions were ever correct in the first place. Obviously, we're learning now that it should just be a focus on whole foods and exercise, and that's what's best for most people in general. And we've been really misled by a lot of these food industry suggestions when it comes to diet and exercise. But at the end of the day, I totally agree with you. I think we should be encouraging competition. It's really healthy, especially for boys. That is so important in this day and age, encouraging healthy masculinity and encouraging, young men to be competing and to excelling and to be their best. Young women too, of course. And that's a great way to also help them to figure out what they want to do in life, what they want to be in life, how to struggle and how to, enact discipline. So all of these things are great. And I think it's really cool that the president had these athletes at the White House. I'm a big fan of Harrison Butker. I got to interview him earlier this year at the Daily Wire Gala in Nashville. And I think he's a great example to a lot of young people out there. Very serious, strong Catholic dad, great man. He has a really beautiful wife and a great family. So love seeing him up there talking to young people from the White House.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a good point about masculinity being labeled as toxic by the left. And it's not just masculinity that is being attacked. It's also women who dare to be blonde, blue-eyed, and fit. And the New York Times, I'm not even going to get into the whole Sydney Sweeney thing of it all because people have been talking about that all week. But the New York Times put out an article, and the headline was "Why the Right Was Obsessed with Thinness." And now they're attacking women, specifically Alex Clark and some of the other conservative women that are leading the MAGA charge. They are demonizing them, saying that this is, the right is obsessed with thinness and it's all based in this conservative morality, and they brought in religion too. So they were demonizing Alex Clark, saying that she's promoting marriage, having babies, being fit, getting your protein in. And these leftists at the New York Times are demonizing this, saying that the reason why conservative women and conservative men as well are prioritizing their health is because of this obsession with religion, because gluttony is one of the 7 deadly sins. And hey, I think God gave us this one body. You better treat it well, because if you don't treat it well, it's disrespecting God, right? I think we're given this body. If you have control over it and it's not a medical condition, I think you should treat your body well. You should prioritize health. You should get moving. You shouldn't be sedentary and live that lifestyle. Why does the left keep promoting this unhealthy lifestyle and demonize people who are actually trying to better themselves?
Well, Hayley, I think it's because the left, and in a lot of cases, a lot of these leftist writers are embarrassing themselves a little bit by acknowledging that a lot of this rhetoric in the MAGA movement, or just among ordinary Americans, is Americans waking up to the fact that they were lied to on a lot of topics. So whether it's health, whether it's birth control, you name it, all of these issues that people like Alex Clark talk about, Brett Cooper, you have it. These are women that are saying to the world, hey, we don't have to believe these lies anymore. We can talk about these issues and we can be real about them. Like birth control is bad for your body. IVF, there's a lot of questions about it that we should be asking, having conversations. Abortion, same thing. And no one's saying you have to agree with what they say on these things, but people like Alex Clark, who's a friend of mine, are having very candid conversations about it. And oftentimes these things are laced together because it's people who are waking up to all of these issues together. And so, the New York Times is not interested in that. They're not interested in women looking at lifestyles outside of their cubicle. They want everyone to follow a very specific woke lifestyle and encourage women to not think about the realities of what happens to their bodies when they're taking drugs, or they're, these FDA approved drugs, telling them that they should be working a very long solitary lifestyle and not focusing on family and things like that. So I think at the end of the day, people like Alex Clark are doing women a service by having open and honest conversations about all these topics. And I know Alex, I know she gets a lot of feedback, criticism, both positive and negative. She's very candid about her conversations and she gets into everything. So in my view, she should continue it. I think it's really important. And it's really good to be reaching people outside of our bubble. That is another thing that these writers do not appreciate, is how the MAGA movement has really reached people outside the Republican bubble. So you have people like Real Foodology, Courtney Swan on Instagram. She's not your traditional Republican influencer. She's a food, a nutrition influencer. So she reaches people all over the world. And she's been very open about these MAGA conversations.
Yeah.
Same with Alex. Her reach is expanding as well. So that makes them very, very uncomfortable. And I love it. I think we need more and more and more of these voices like that.
Oh, I agree. More conservative women like you, Mary Margaret. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Vince. This was a really great conversation, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Hayley. This has been fun.
Thank you so much. All right, I want to tell you quickly about Hillsdale. Do you ever just want to turn off the news and ignore politics? It's overwhelming. But here's the thing. We are citizens of a republic. The decisions made by our government affect our everyday lives. And in order to be a good citizen, you have to read and understand the United States Constitution. That's why I'm so excited that Hillsdale College is offering brand new free online courses called The Federalist. The Federalist Papers were primarily written by two of America's most important founding fathers, Alexander Hamilton and James Madison. Together, they explain how the United States Constitution established a government strong enough to secure the rights of citizens and safe enough to wield that power. Hillsdale's online course, The Federalist, includes 10 lectures, each about 30 minutes long. You can take the course at your own pace. There's no cost to sign up. Plus, Hillsdale offers more than 40 other free online courses. I went on their website yesterday just to check it out. It's amazing what they have. They have classes on the Roman Empire, on capitalism, on the evils of Marxism and socialism. You can find something that interests you. So go right now to hillsdale.edu/Vince to enroll. There's no cost. It is easy to get started. That is hillsdale.edu/Vince to enroll for free. hillsdale.edu/Vince. I also want to tell you about Bond Charge. Vince has been telling me all about Bond Charge and how he loves the infrared sauna blanket and the red light face mask. I need to get on this train, okay? I'm going to be using code Vince for this right now, right? As soon as we get off the air, I'm going into Bond Charge and using code Vince. So ever since they sent them to Vince, he cannot recommend them enough. The sauna blanket helps with muscle recovery and detoxification. It has become a game changer. It is easy to use. You just wrap yourself up and let the infrared heat work. It's magic. Amazing. So the red light face mask is something else that they offer. Equally is impressive. I know that red light is amazing to help skin's texture and reduce inflammation. It's like having a mini spa treatment at home. I can't wait to get mine. So if you're thinking of trying them out, you're in luck. Head to bondcharge.com and use code Vince at checkout to get 15% off. Both of these products have made such a positive impact for him and I know that you will love them too. So use code Vince at bondcharge.com to save 15% off. These statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. All right, I have scrolling time, which is, if you watch Nightly Scroll, it's a segment of my show where I do the headlines at the start, but then I want to get into some more fun things. I feel like there's so much conversation that gets started on social media, and I spend an astronomical amount of time on my phone. So I find videos that provoke conversation. Sometimes it's crazy liberals, but sometimes I end the show on some positive note too. So I have a little bit of everything for you today. There's just one more story that I want to get to, and it is Biden's staffer. So Biden has a staffer, or was a staffer. He was this high-level senior advisor, and he was, this is headline 6 if you want to pull it up. But yeah, he is this advisor who has been around Biden and, involved in his campaign. His name is Mike Donnellan. So not only did he say that he's been working with Biden from the beginning, he's been working with Biden right before he ran for president the first time, and he was working through his second campaign until he dropped out. And what I find is interesting is that he got $4 million to advise his campaign. $4 million. I didn't know that campaign advisors were making that much money. Maybe that's just me, but maybe I need to get into this realm of advising corpses to run for president, because certainly it is more lucrative than I ever knew and ever thought could be true. $4 million on the first campaign. He would have gotten a total of $8 million, another $4 million, if Biden had won in 2024. That's crazy to me. It is totally crazy to me. And the craziest part of everything that he has said on Capitol Hill, I mean, he is one of the only Biden advisors that didn't plead the fifth. Karine Jean-Pierre, I don't know if we're ever going to hear from her. Some other staffers, high-level staffers that were apparently in the Oval Office when President Biden or someone else was using the auto pen on his behalf. Biden says that he was authorizing it, but it was kind of like a friend of a friend, an advisor of an advisor of an advisor, right? So we need to get to the bottom of this chain of command and get to the bottom of who was actually running the White House, who was making these decisions, and are the executive orders that President Biden signed in his last days in office, are they even valid? Are the pardons? He pardoned his whole family. Is that valid? So that is something that we need to get to the bottom of. And what's crazy is that Mike Donnellan, he said that President Biden, he had all of his faculties, like he is hand to God, hand on the Bible, swearing under oath that President Biden had all of his faculties. He didn't even miss a step in the last few days. So that's crazy, because we've seen a lot of these Biden advisors, right? They plead the fifth because they don't want to be on the record saying what we all knew was true, is that Biden was failing completely and they were sweeping it under the rug. So by him saying, basically, allegedly lying under oath, I mean, I can say that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, based on what I see and what everyone in the chat sees, it seems like President Biden was failing way sooner than they were willing to admit, and they only admitted it when it was too late and they knew that they couldn't win the election. All right, let's get into some scrolling time. This isn't Vince. This isn't Vince's thing. It's my thing, but I'm bringing you a little taste of what Nightly Scroll is like. This is the music that I play on my show, and it gets me going. It gets me into the mood. Okay, so there is a trend on social media right now, and Andy over here was asking me, why is everyone using this sound? And sometimes it's hard to explain how these things go viral and how they become a trend. But I didn't even know what Jet 2 was. Jet 2 is an airline, maybe. So Jet 2 holiday, there is an ad, and they used a song by Jess Glynn. And the song by Jess Glynn is in the background of this Jet 2 holiday ad. And the holiday ad says, nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. You can get all these deals and whatever. So now people are using this song, a Jet 2 holiday, kind of in an ironic way where if something bad is happening, they put this sound over it, like nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. And it's kind of this ironic, like you wouldn't want this. But so anyway, the White House has hopped on this trend, and they posted this. The Jet 2 holiday, 11.5.
Nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. And right now, you can save £50 per person. That's £200 off for a family.
They're getting deported. They're shackled. They've got their handcuffs on. And of course,
but now, with Jet 2 holidays,
the White House is using this in a joking manner. Like, there's nothing beats a Jet 2 holiday. You, too, can get your free holiday, your free ticket on us. Just use the CBP Home app and get the hell out of here. Hit the road, Jack. So I think this is very funny. But of course, there is an uproar. If you go to the White House social media page, everyone is absolutely freaking out over this. Liberals, not us, like liberals. And they're saying, this is not a serious presidency. They're jumping on these trends. This is horrible. How can you use this trend and this song and put it to people getting deported? This is so horrible. This is so inhumane, blah, 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 blah. All the things that they say about deportations, which is literally just following the law, right? So Jess Glynn is the woman singing that song in the background, and she had to come out and make a statement saying that she's totally disgusted that the White House used this song. So we could pull up this headline. But Jess Glynn, Hold My Hand is the song that went totally viral, and now she's slamming the Trump administration for using her song to promote deportations. I'm pretty sure she said it made her sick. It made her sick that President Trump used the song, or the White House used the song. And of course, the White House social media team is just doing what they do best, which is hopping on trends and making funny content. And they've been doing a great job. But I found this funny because Jess Glynn is not the first singer to do this, right? President Trump has used, and all politicians use songs like walkout songs at their rallies and what have you. So President Trump has used YMCA by the Village People, correct? And he has used, what else? I think he used to use Born in the USA, and then Bruce Springsteen got all mad at him. So this isn't the first time that these woke Hollywood entertainment celebrity weirdos get all peeved that President Trump is using their songs. And now I'm pretty sure that the Village People are okay with President Trump using YMCA. I think they kind of turned on it. And of course, someone in the chat reminded me, Lee Greenwood, of course. But Lee Greenwood is on our side. He's one of the good ones. So of course he's going to let President Trump use his song. But yes, amazing. I just think it's amazing. And President Trump doesn't care. Here's the thing. It's like these celebrities feel like they're saving face with their audiences. Like they get to be the good guy and say, oh, well, President Trump used my song, but don't worry, I'm not into it. It's just, you're a loser. You're a loser. No one cares. I commented on the post. You just need to touch grass if you care about this. And then people are bullying me in the comments, but it's all liberals. That's all they know how to do is just bully, anti-Trump, TDS. It's all they do. So anyway, I do have some negative videos before we get to the good. So first, earlier this week, we had a lone gunman that we know of, a lone gunman walk into a New York City skyscraper. He had weird obsessions with the NFL. He was maybe targeting the NFL. That's where the NFL offices are in New York City. And he was claiming that he had CTE, and this was from high school football that he had played. So this crazed gunman, and they are always crazed and mentally ill. Of course, nobody in their right mind uses a firearm in that way. So he is crazed. He has a history of mental illness. He goes into this building and he kills people. And one of the people that he killed was a CEO at Blackstone. And of course, as we've seen with the United Healthcare CEO shooter, Mangione, he had sparked just a love affair among leftists on the internet. They saw him take out this CEO and they made him into a martyr, that he did it he's sticking it to the man, and he's sticking it to these systems that oppress us. And that's the leftist viewpoint, right? So they were glorifying the United Healthcare CEO, and now they're doing it again with this Blackstone CEO who was horrifically slain in broad daylight. So watch this. 13.
I personally today, I'm going to celebrate by taking the day off and maybe doing a little bit of baking. Let me know how you're going to celebrate.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
To CEO down. Another CEO down. This woman says Luigi, she's beatboxing.
Everyone who keeps on saying that Blackstone's CEO had a husband, why don't we ask her husband if he had the choice, if he could bring her back and have her here on Earth, but he would have to give up all of his money and struggle like the rest of us.
And it's so hard to say goodbye to another CEO.
They're all celebrating. They're all celebrating the death of an innocent person. And they glorify the murderers. And they demonize hardworking people. That one woman who said, let's ask the husband of this CEO if he'd rather have her back or her money. Ew. They hate everyone who's doing better than them. The American dream used to be about aspiring to do better for yourself and your family. These young people, these leftists, are so anti-American and so lazy that they blame their shortcomings on successful people. And newsflash, killing CEOs doesn't make you any richer and it doesn't make your problems go away. And certainly going on social media and yapping about it and sullying your digital footprint by calling for people to get killed, innocent people to get killed, doesn't make you very smart either. Now, another person who isn't very smart, this goes with the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad that has just gotten everybody on the left up in arms. They hate that she's blonde. They hate that she has blue eyes. They hate that she's skinny and gorgeous and has a gorgeous curvy body. They hate everything that she stands for, right? Because they say that the American Eagle ad was fascism. And now this lunatic on the internet, she says, we still need to fight fascism, but make sure you have your mask on. Watch.
Good genes passed on to offspring? That American Eagle ad with Sydney Sweeney is literally overt eugenics. I know you don't want to hear this, but if you want to talk about how that ad is promoting eugenics, which it absolutely is, we also have to talk about how choosing not to wear a mask when you can during an ongoing pandemic, because you're okay with a certain subset of people, primarily disabled people of color, dying for your own comfort, is also eugenics. Just the more normalized kind. Bye.
It is not eugenics. This is not eugenics. This is not what these people are saying it is. This was American Eagle making a smart campaign decision. They got the biggest woman in Hollywood right now. She's very popular. She was on White Lotus. She was on Euphoria. She's in all these new movies. She was part of the resurgence of romantic comedies. She starred in Anything But You, that movie with Glenn Powell. So she is the Hollywood it girl right now. And the left hates that she's white because the left wants everyone to be fat and sick and a slob, essentially. So they hate that she stands for everything that they are not. And for this person, this lunatic, to tell her audience, whoever that is, that they have to wear masks because the pandemic is still happening. And if you're not wearing a mask, that is also eugenics because you want people of color and people with comorbidities to die. Enough of this. I thought this narrative was over 5 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Totally sick. These people are sick in the head. I know that she's wearing a mask in her car right now, so I'll pray for her. We got 2 more videos. First one, this woman has taken a video of one of her neighbor's yards. And let's just say her neighbor doesn't like President Trump. Look at this. We're going to go through this together. We're going to show you what the hell? All of these anti-Trump signs. I can't really read this one, but they're calling Trump supporters stupid in this sign. Don't worry, there's more. Lots of cat signs as well. This anti-Trump person doesn't speak for all cat ladies, by the way. I'm anti-Trump because I'm anti-stupid. There's another one with a cat on it that says F Trump with middle fingers on it. New York Rangers sign, okay. They've got an American flag, but there are more anti-Trump signs. There are more anti-Trump signs coming, but it's crazy. My cat is smarter than Trump. He's a puppet. Grow a spine for the love of this God in this country. For the love of God in this country, grow a spine. Republicans. Something tells me this woman's cat is not smarter than President Trump. But this is also lunacy. This is total lunacy. These are the same people who bought a Tesla before, Elon Musk was associated with President Trump, and now they kept their Tesla, but then they have a bumper sticker on it. They have to have a sign on it that says, bought this before Elon Musk was a Nazi, or I bought this before, Trump, or blah, blah, blah. It's just, they're totally insane. They're constantly virtue signaling to other people. They constantly need to remind people of how they stand politically. They constantly make everything about politics, and they have to let everyone know. They have to let everyone know what a good person they are by saying F Trump and you're stupid and all this stuff. It's very hypocritical. But I've got time for one more video, and I want to end on a fun note, a cute note. And this is this is maybe the sweetest thing passed around a campfire other than marshmallows and s'mores. So let's take a look at this.
I'll see you in the morning.
This is a little baby. He has to say goodbye to everyone at the campfire before going to bed. They're passing him around like a hot potato.
Hey, good night. Yeah, we'll see you there. Good night, buddy.
See you in the morning. He just has to tell all of his family members good night. See you in the morning. One wasn't good enough. He had to go to everyone individually and give them their own good night hug. So it is not good night. It is the morning time. I know you're not used to seeing me in the morning, but I will say good morning. I'm not going to say goodbye yet because you're going to see me on radio from 12 to 3. I'm going to be co-hosting with Jim. I'm very excited about that. It's my first time on radio, so I hope you tune in for that. And then you could see me tonight on Nightly Scroll, 6 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is where you can watch Nightly Scroll. And Vince is going to be back in the chair on Monday, and Dave Rubin's show, or Tim Pool's show is coming up right now.